Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Weekly Bangers. I'm Dave, aka Gronk, and with me are Cathal and Mike. And this is the channel where we discover new music every week. Typically, we spin a wheel and listen to a random album, but this week we are reviewing Balloonerism by Mac Miller, which recently released. And it's his seventh studio album, his second posthumous album, and it was released exactly 5 years after his first posthumous album. But it was recorded way back in the day in 2014 and sort of half made, I guess, until he dropped it and moved on to release Faces in 2014. So, yeah, that's how we got here now to it being a posthumous release. Fellas, any any opening thoughts on the album?
Um, I think it's a cool album. I think it's produced very well. I think I like in the production. There's a lot of like random like sounds in the songs that I just think sound very cool. But some cool flows, some nice like meanings behind some of the songs, like the lyrics. Yeah, it's good. It just opens up with the DJ's chord organ, which I think just sounds very like atmospheric, and also like the last, how it ends then I think is very atmospheric, very cool, very eerie. But yeah, I think personally not wholly consistent. I think there are some songs that aren't too great, or ones that I wouldn't really be coming back to as much as some of the others, which I definitely would be coming back to. But I liked it overall.
Yeah, generally I would be a big enough fan of Mac Miller, but yeah, I'd have the same kind of opinion. I don't think it's consistent the whole way through at all, but there are still about 4 or 5 songs that I think are quite good, and the more I listen, I might pick up on some more too. Um, but yeah, it still has like a few songs I really like, but I do think it's somewhat like disjointed. I don't think it's quite as good as Swimming or Circles anyway, but it's still a pretty good listen. Probably better than I was expecting since it's come out so long after his death. I thought it would be somewhat filler, but still has some good songs on it. Yeah.
I actually kind of sort of disagree probably with the both of you. Well, I think it's always going to be tough for it to have like a really stable direction and like creative sort of vision when obviously it's a posthumous album. Like he's not at the center of making it or putting it together, I suppose. So I think that's like it's hard to critique that. That was always going to be tough. I don't know. But I really like how the album sort of progresses. I thought there are some inconsistencies, I do agree, but I kind of like how at the start it was, to me, it sounded a little bit more like his older music, like sort of that hip hop kind of old Mac Miller. Uh, $5 Pony Rides, probably the biggest example is that of that. Then I really like towards the end of the album, it kind of progresses to, I thought, like way more kind of contemplative and deep sort of questions about like life and God and life after death. And obviously, the last song on the album is just very sort of experimental, I guess. I mean, it's almost like it's his sort of goodbye, like asking about life and death. And I don't know, I thought that had like good emotional value there in that sense. I definitely like the second half of the album more, sort of how it builds up.
Really, I think I prefer the first half probably more. I do agree though that like
Mm,
that last song is like what a way to end the album. It is so like, yeah, as I said, experimental. It's like psychedelic. It's eerie. It's kind of like, yeah, it's weird, but
yeah.
like it makes, I don't know. And yeah, some like lyrics I've like it says like, yeah, you wonder when God will just listen and give you a break, or like he's like wondering
Mm,
like if like when you die, if you still like dream, and if you still like love, if you still feel. And then it just ending
mm,
with those like cool like oh noises and like the phone ringing, but then like nobody picks it up because he's dead. I think is like some way
yeah.
to end the album.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think there are some. You also mentioned $5 Pony Ride, which I think is like a big high in the album. I think it's just a banger.
Mhm.
The bass is so sick on it as well. Um, such a great song, banger.
Would that be your favorite song?
I would
from that
say
album?
Stoned is my favorite.
Okay,
Yeah,
nice,
it's
nice.
my favorite too. That's the song I
Same
was
for
saying
you.
would be all of our favorites, but we don't know yet.
Not
No?
for me.
Yeah?
Why
Not for me.
Okay.
Stoned? Why do you like it?
Earth, Earth, Earth to
Why do I
Copper.
like it? It's just the most. I think it's the best instrumentally, and it's the most catchy,
Yeah.
and also has a message in it about some girl, don't know who, but yeah, she's probably not doing too well right now, I'd imagine, based
Yeah.
on the lyrics in the
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's a very good song, good like atmosphere to it.
The
Now that is something that could definitely change the more I listen to it because it's definitely the easiest song to hook you in,
yeah.
and this is a new album, so
Hmm.
I think my opinions could change quite drastically
Yeah.
in like the coming months.
Yeah. I think it is that guitar line in it is so cool over the chorus. The do do do
Yeah,
do. Yeah, so cool. And then also like when I first started, oh, it's so cool when it leading into the chorus. Like first up, I like the line the way he sings it of isolation. She's locking the bathroom door, and then the knocking on the door to lead into the chorus is class. The boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's get
mhm.
stoned. Oh, that actually
It
like
is.
that.
It's actually kind of subtle.
I think it's like
It
for four, it's kind of subtle, and then the next four, then it kind of like picks up and actually proper sounds like knocking. I think.
yeah, but it's a
Um,
very slight change. Yeah.
I think that sounds classic. That like
Mm.
gets me hyped when I hear it. I'm just like, so
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of the song too. That is
So
the main reason I like it
yeah.
so much.
I also like I swear to God, heaven feels just like home. That's quite sad, but
Yeah.
it's
I know. Yeah, it is.
but
It's really
it's
good
a good line.
lyrically too. Yeah.
Yeah. Grant, what's your favorite song on
Those
the
are the
album?
songs. The songs I liked the most were the ones that I thought had the most like substance lyrically. So right towards the end of the album, there's that Mannequins and Rick's Piano. Both of those I think are great. And then the ending of Rick's Piano, how that goes into like that last long song, I think is really nice. Just that sort of last bit of the album there. Probably Rick's Piano is my favorite song. I think he's got some really cool lines in it. Um, I don't know, it just sounds like an ending song, like a goodbye song.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really like the album as a whole, like sort of thematically. But when I looked at the cover art, I was like, all right, this is probably something that's going to be a little bit like surreal or psychedelic or ambiguous. And I thought that throughout the album, you kind of get that vibe. Like there's some weird kind of
Yeah.
high pitch things, some like unique instrumentation,
Yeah.
some cool callbacks to like childhood and like problems with drugs, dealing with like God. I really liked all of that stuff. So
Yeah.
I got pretty high praise for the album.
That's good. You mentioned the pitch changing.
Yeah.
Transformations, it just did not work for me. I don't think. The pitch
Nope.
changing in that, yeah, that
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
big miss for me. That song. There was some better pitch changes in Shangri La. I think it was. I think that had some. It worked better in
And
that song.
Mannequins as well.
Mannequins as
I
well.
didn't
That one.
particularly
I
like
think
Shangri-La.
You didn't like it, no? I didn't love it,
Not
no.
too
But
much.
I just think
I
the
didn't
pitch
like
changing was better.
DJ's chord organ either, which you mentioned earlier. I
I
didn't
like it.
really
I
listen
think
to that.
I didn't, as in like it's not like I think it's just good for the album. It's just a good way to start off the album, and it was
DJ's chord organ.
yeah
Yeah.
sets the tone. I think for the album.
I agree. I really love how it starts off with like E and then
Yeah,
it plays and then F. I don't know why that really.
it's cool.
I thought it was kind of weird that SZA was the first voice that you heard though. Really, like she kind of kicks off the
Yeah,
album.
he's
I
barely
thought
on
it
the
That's
fit
album.
main.
well.
That's mainly why I didn't like the song. I think. To be
Oh,
honest.
Mm.
I love SZA. I think she's great. I'm like always happy to see a feature from
Well,
her.
just it really threw me off that Tambourine Dream was what it was.
Yeah,
That's really the
Mhm.
opening.
Yeah,
I
I
thought it
guess.
was going to be some cool, groovy tambourine song. It was
So
just,
did I. Yeah.
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 I don't know. I
Um,
actually prefer. I really prefer Mac Miller by himself.
but I don't really see that as like a song on the album. I feel like it's just like I do see that as just like an intro leading into the first song.
Yeah, she's just kind of like supplements as
Yeah.
well, I think.
Um, also, just go back to Rick's piano. Like, I love that repeating line of "the best is yet to come." I think that is it's really cool.
Yeah.
Also, he has the line, with the repeating at the end. Well, like, what does death feel like? And he's just wondering that. I think. It's just
Yeah.
something that I feel like you can kind of hear that kind of thing in a lot of his lyrics, but I don't know, just kind of like an insight into his mind.
Thought it
Um,
was really powerful, like
yeah.
grappling with drugs and life, and
Mm-hmm.
It
I,
is,
I
yeah. But
really
that's
liked Excelsior as a kind of like, oh, what happened to childhood? Like back when we used to only think about apple juice and
Oh yeah. Or when
I
your
don't
only
know.
enemy is spinach and Brussels sprouts or something.
Yeah, I thought that was really nice as well.
Funny
Funny
Papers.
Papers,
Hey,
another
nice.
another highlight for me.
Yeah.
that's my second
Oh,
favorite after Snow. Yeah,
class song.
Yeah, great song.
yeah,
Great
Um,
song.
yeah, I think it's like a really like pretty sounding song, and it's cool cool premise as well of him like the like first two verses are him reading two different stories in the newspaper. What the first one is a death, the second one is a birth, and in the first verse I read online, I don't know if either of you saw this, but he said didn't think anybody dies on a Friday or something,
Oh
and it's
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
like
yeah. I found
predicting
that
his
very
own
weird.
it's kind of like predicting his own death because he died on a Friday.
Wow.
Huh,
Yeah,
yeah, it was
that's really
random.
mad.
Maybe he
Actually,
wrote that
that
like,
is kind of eerie because
Yeah,
it's random that he says that. It's very
yeah.
random.
It kind of
yeah.
is like, as in he apparently, like, when he made this album he wanted it to be released after he died, like that was like a thing he
Wow.
so like, and then like there are a few lines as well on the album um that I just think it's just kind of eerie, that like especially that one, I think, that he didn't think anyone dies on a Friday. And in Do You Have a Destination, when he goes uh, I gave my life to this shit, already killed myself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think though all of his albums are. This is not unique in the sense that it's talking about deep topics, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's
Yep.
his best one for dealing with topics like that either. That's the main reason I've been somewhat critical of it. Have like high standards for him.
I guess I mean I wouldn't be too well versed in his discography, but I guess it was towards his like later music career he starts diving into that more and more and more.
Yeah, they're the albums I've listened
Uh,
full through to. But like Good News is just way more. It's way better even lyrically than any of the other ones on this
what a
album, I think.
song! What a
Yeah.
song!
Wait,
Yeah.
I'm thinking, when did you say this he wrote, or he made this?
2014, I believe.
That's
Yeah,
insane.
recorded the album in 2014.
That's
Crazy.
insane. That does
Talking
like,
about dying on a Friday.
no, but like
Yeah.
even just like how it sounds, like this was, I feel like this was like not the kind of music that was kind of like coming out like back then and all that, right?
Uh,
I feel like this sounds class
I
for a
don't know.
2013, what
Yeah.
was it, 2014 album.
Would have been considered maybe more of an experimental
Mm-hmm.
sound for him, and maybe that's why it never got to like
I feel like it's a bit ahead of its
being
time, is it?
released in 2014.
I find that weird to say as well though, because he's definitely like got crazy variety within every album too. There's not like a he doesn't really have like a genre even for like an individual album.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Yeah,
like a
yeah, no, you're right. Yeah,
I think it's quite typical of an album for him. I don't know why it was considered controversial at the time.
it wasn't
Maybe.
controversial.
Maybe
I mean,
controversial is not the right word, but you're saying that it wasn't like they didn't think it'd be a commercial
yeah.
success.
I mean,
Basically,
I've heard two things. I've heard um, one, yeah, that it was meant to come out, uh, as in it was meant to come out, but then it didn't because it was deemed as too experimental or something. And then the other one was that, yeah, that it was meant, he wanted it to be released after he died.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it was both. Maybe he wasn't allowed to release it, so he said, release it after I die. So then, or I don't know. But also crazy that he was like planning that, like as in, like at what age was he then? Like, and he was planning on like releasing this after he died. He must have felt like it was going to be, he was going to die young. Like he must have known.
Crazy.
oh yeah, he always
Crazy.
talks about that.
It feels like this should be his last album. Like I would be happy if
Yeah, they shouldn't release
there
it
was.
anymore.
I mean, I don't know how much more music he has in the bank, if a lot, but
Yeah,
this feels like it like caps off in like a nice kind of emotional way, like
Yeah.
it's the end sort of.
Yeah. What would you score it, guys?
That's
All right, out of
Second,
10, I would score it a 7.5. I'll say.
I was about to say the
If it's
same.
out of 100, I'd probably give it a 40 around.
Yeah. What about out of 5?
But not 6. 7.5. Out of 5, probably 5.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, 7.5 locked in for me as well. Yeah. Grant.
Yeah.
for you also. Wow.
Yeah.
I really like the album,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna give it an 8.4.
I thought you were going to go higher, honestly.
All right, so there's our discussion and our rating of Balloonerism by Mac Miller. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. And if you're interested, be sure to check out some of our other music album reviews. We cover a lot of different genres, a lot of different stuff. And yeah, thank you for tuning in and peace. Salute.